Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shetland Trader Chats directly from Shetland. I have been here for, I think, about 3.5 weeks now with my husband as well. So the two of us have been here at Bousta Cottage. So to give you some grounding for where we are, this is part of a property that has a hotel on it as well. It's on the west side of Shetland, it's in the area and town called Was or Walls. And this is where Mary Jane Mucklestone and I would bring our knitting groups when we did those trips, which we don't do anymore. And Mary Jane and I would stay usually in this cottage here. So it sits right beside the water, and the hotel is behind the cottage here. And it's an old, fairly traditional Shetland croft style stone cottage, and has, I guess, 3 bedrooms, one very, very small bedroom. So 2 bedrooms upstairs, kitchen space, which I'm in down here. I will put up some photos so you can see. And actually, I did just want to mention that in the kitchen here, there's an oil-fired Rayburn, which is very pretty. It's a mint color, and but she does fire up, so she's quiet right now. But you might hear that noise, and I'm hoping it won't be a problem as I'm recording. But this feels like the best spot for light. Being a traditional cottage, the windows are quite small, and so it can feel a little dark in places. So I picked this spot. And yeah, this is also where Mary Jane Mucklestone and I mostly had the photography done for our Grand Shetland Adventure Knits book. So if you have that book, you will probably see some photos that were taken in the area here. And yeah, so David and I are settling in to what our routine is going to be here. Took a little while, and when we arrived, Wool Week was happening. So I wasn't doing an awful lot for Wool Week. I wasn't teaching or anything like that, but I did pop along to some talks and some exhibitions and things like that. I'll mention a little bit more about that in a second. And also my sister was visiting from New Zealand. So obviously I had seen her this year because we were out there, but I didn't see her for very long. So it was really lovely that we got to overlap again here. So we had, a lovely time hanging out with them. And then when they left and Wool Week was over, David and I were able to start, figuring out our day-to-day here. David is writing. I am working on my next book, which I have mentioned here many times. And it's going well. Things that we have to get used to are partly being obviously in a house that is not ours, and a little chillier. Well, actually, our house back in Massachusetts is pretty chilly too, but just figuring out, making sure, we're comfortable to be able to work from here. The internet is also not great here, so that does cause some restrictions, but it's also kind of nice that it's not so easy to just jump on and be distracted by online things. Obviously, every day we're going outside and taking walks and taking in the scenery and the weather, and that's pretty amazing, to wake up and see what it's like outside every day and have the sea around us, and all these places to walk. In Shetland, there's an open access law. It's kind of actually the whole of Scotland. So really you can walk anywhere as long as you're not walking through somebody's crops. But sometimes there are styles that take you over fences and things like that. But it really means that you can go anywhere, which is really lovely. So many places to walk here. The other aspect that we are having to adjust to is being so far away from the main town of Lerwick, which is about a 40-minute drive from here. That's where the bigger supermarkets are. There's 2 supermarkets there, a Tesco and a Co-op. There's also a nice sort of whole foodie shop called Scoop, and other, smaller places. But to really do like a big food shop, we have to go into Lerwick to do that. The town that we are in, although we're not in the sort of concentrated area of the town, but I mentioned that's called Walls, or locally it's pronounced Waz, and that has a little shop. So we do pick up bits and pieces from there, like some milk and things like that. But we have to be more strategic about what we're going to make for the week, or what we want to have food wise for the week, and try and get that done without having to go into Lerwick multiple times, because obviously that takes up a big part of the day, even though it's a lovely drive. But we obviously need to be productive whilst we're here too. So just adjusting to that. And so Waz itself, I mentioned it's like 5 minutes away from the house here. And, you know, I don't know what the population is considered for Waz. I will look that up and add it to the video. There's a school there, a primary school, as I mentioned, a shop. There's actually a doctor's surgery is what it's called here, a GP surgery. And there's a care home there too. And that's actually where my mum was for many years when she was being looked after while she had Alzheimer's. So I have spent a lot of time in Waz, and I really like it. It's a lovely little village. I've taken some video of kind of driving into the village, which I will share here. I think I'm probably actually going to put that up at the start of this episode, because my friend Maddie, Colorado knitter, she asked that question. She's like, well, what are the towns like, you know, around you? And so I was finding that hard in a way to describe, but a lot of the small towns, and there's many in Shetland, do have, usually they will all have a town hall. That's a very significant part, because all sorts of events take place at the hall. Sometimes, in fact, last night we were told at the shop that they were doing a pizza night at the hall. So I'm not sure if somebody was making pizzas or they were being brought in, but they do that for different food. Like they'll have a fish and chips night or a Chinese food night. And they also do teas there, which are often a fundraiser for things. So all sorts of like local events happen at the hall, and people will rent the hall for private things or family things, gatherings, that kind of thing, or music and performance. In Sandnes, which is where my dad lives, not too far from here, also on the west side of Shetland. It's probably about a 20 to 25-minute drive from here. They had a film night last night at their local hall. So every town has a local hall. A lot of the towns do have a primary school, and some of them will have a shop. Not every town does, but a lot of them have a little shop as well. So yeah, that's kind of a very brief overview of the town side of things. And then Lerwick, which has, I think, a population of around 8,000 or 9,000 people, is obviously a lot bigger and has more amenities there. One thing that David and I have done to help ground ourselves and stick to routines that we were used to doing at home was to join the gym. So a lot of the small towns do have leisure facilities. The nearest one for us is in Ayre, which is about a 20-minute drive, and they have a swimming pool, the sauna and steam room. They have a climbing wall there actually, and then they have a gym kind of workout space, which is small. It's maximum 6 people at a time. But David and I have joined that, and we've been going there 3 or 4 times a week, which has been really nice to have it. And honestly, a lot of the time it is just the 2 of us in there, or maybe one other person shows up. And it's used by the school a lot too. So the sort of open gym space that they have, often when we're working out, we can see all the different classes coming in to do their gym activities from the local school in Ayre. Yeah, so other things that I'm enjoying about being back, or, you know, well, mentioned just being able to go out and get a really good dose of fresh air and walk, and enjoying things like the access to the fish here, which is so good. Obviously, Shetland has a long fishing industry, and still does. and you can get really great fresh fish here. One in particular that I like is smoked haddock, because it's hard to get that in the States. So whenever I'm here, I love to have things that have smoked haddock in it. So we've been making kedgeree, is a really great recipe using smoked haddock, and fish pie and things like that. So enjoying that. And weirdly, I don't know why this is some kind of nostalgic thing or something being back here, but I seem to be drinking instant coffee a lot. I never do that at home, but for some reason here, instant coffee, and definitely like getting biscuits from the store to have with the coffee. Just take a sip. Yeah. Okay. So yes, I am busy working away on this book. I actually, since I've been here, I finished this vest. I mentioned before that the book is all vest themed. There will be some other accessories in there too, but all of the garments will be vests. And this is a Riggy's vest. So some of you know about the Riggy's cardigan. I'm wearing the Riggy's hat. I've done a Riggy's cowl. But I wanted to do a vest version. So this is in the DK weight. So there's the Rayburn kicking in. So sorry if it gets harder to hear me. I do have a microphone on though, so should be good. Yes, this is in the DK weight of Jamieson's yarn. I believe this color is Titanic. And like with the Riggy's cardigan, it's made in 4 segments. So 2 fronts, 2 backs. They're actually identical, the backs and the fronts, and then there's all this, joining together with the 3-needle bind off. So I'm hoping to have some versions that also show the different segments, maybe in different colors or with the pop of color where the joins are happening. I chose to keep this one all in just one color, and I really, really like it. I will also put up some photos of that. The other thing that I have found just really inspiring and kind of absorbing is, as we're driving around here, just all the different colors that are on the hillside between the grasses and the heather. And it's obviously autumn time here, and it's just really my palette hugely. And so that is definitely kind of influencing some of the swatching that I'm doing. I shared a couple of these on Instagram as well. And I have been continuing to kind of play around with color combinations. I also have been doing a little bit of creating marls. So this is actually holding, I'll see if I can make it a bit closer. It's holding 3 strands of the Jamiesons together. And the inspiration for these colors was the lichen on the rocks, which is all around here. So thinking I might want to do something with that. I also just love this sort of blendy effect of going from one color to another. And this is also holding 2 strands together. So sometimes it's holding 2 different colors together to get sort of an overlap of the blends. So that's been fun to play around with. Not exactly sure what I'm doing with that yet. Then I also went into Jamieson and Smith. So the two of the bigger yarn producers here, and there are many yarn producers here now, but I would say the 2 prominent ones that most of us have heard about are Jamieson's and Jamieson and Smith. So similar names. I've used them both for years and years and years. Many of my designs are in Jamieson and Smith yarns. Recently, because I had been working with Simply Shetland, which is the North American distributor for Jamieson's, I've been focusing on Jamieson's more. But for this book, I am going to be using Jamieson and Smith yarn too, and probably some other yarns in the book as well, but they'll all be Shetland or woolen spun yarns. Anyway, I went into Jamieson and Smith. I avoided going in there during Wool Week because it can be very busy. But I did manage to get in there the other day, and so I could grab some yarn to play with. And I picked up these colors. One of them's attached to. So also kind of in the palette that I'm just kind of seeing every day when I look outside. I just love these colors. One of these shades, this one here, which is FC38, I did the first Porty pullover sweater that I made was the main color was this color, and I absolutely love it. So I picked up those shades, and I decided that I wanted to work on just a stripy vest situation. It has been years since I have done anything just striped, but this was calling to me to be something striped. I actually really love the wrong side of this, and so I am considering using the wrong side. It will be a vest. I've started kind of the other front, which is going to be thicker stripes. I won't tell you everything about that one right now, but I'm having fun just doing stripes, and it's very soothing. And of course, with these stripes, I am doing spit splicing, which is great. So there won't be any ends to weave in, which is awesome. And then the other thing that I picked up when I was at Jamieson and Smith is their newer 5-ply yarn. And this is a worsted spun. So it's a smoother feel to it than the woolen spun, the jumper weight. And I haven't used this before. I hadn't even, maybe I saw it in person at the Woolly Thistle, but I've never knit with it. And so I picked up a bunch of colors, as you can see here, which the colors are amazing. I don't know how many there are, certainly not as many. Maybe there's 10 or 12 or something like that. But I really love the color palette. It feels very sort of somehow 90s to me. So I already have some ideas of what I might do with that. So yeah, I am really just knitting every day, swatching. You can't see it. I moved the kitchen table away from this space, but it's full of balls of yarn. So they're everywhere. So that's a little bit about what I'm working on with regards to the book. And then the other thing that I have been knitting away on is this Heritage Yoke cardigan. I can't remember if I shared about this or not in my last episode or any previous episode. So this pattern is from Grand Shetland Adventure Knits. I made it as a sweater, a yoke sweater. And actually, for that one, I used the Jamieson and Smith Heritage yarn. And I am making it into a cardigan version. And for the sweater, the motifs in the yoke had different background colors changing. But for this version, I have kept the background color the same and just changed the colors in the motif. And then you can see the steek stitches up the center there, because obviously this being a cardigan, it will get cut. So I finished the body, starting on a sleeve here, and I'm just about done finalizing the pattern for this one. So I am going to do a test knit for this. So I will probably link to that. I should be ready to have that to go when I publish this video. So it will be a Google form. That's typically how I do it for test knits. I set up a Google form, you answer some questions. Usually I can't pick everybody. So just know that, if you do apply and you don't get picked this time, it's nothing personal. It's just that I can't take everybody. But I will get that one started. So the reason that I'm doing this is because the patterns from Grand Shetland Adventure Knits are now available for us to sell individually. And my plan is to not release them all at once, but to do it gradually. And I thought it would be nice to offer a different iteration of the Heritage Yoke cardigan, Heritage Yoke sweater as a cardigan. I did just release the Bousta socks, which is the only sock pattern that I have ever done. So I released that as an individual pattern. So far for me, that's the only one that's up there. And then the others they'll come, up. I don't know the dates of them yet, but they will be spaced out over the coming months. So I know what else I wanted to tell you about. It turns out that I had left a kind of bag of knitwear at my dad's house, which I'd kind of forgotten about. And then my brother reminded me that it was under his bed and I should go take a look. One of the things that was in that was this hat. So this is the Ayre Hap. It's a hat design that I did for Kate Davies' Book of Haps. Gosh, I think that's maybe like over 10 years ago, I'm pretty sure now. And it's available as an individual pattern. And what I did for this was I made a big diamond hap, the center part of a hap. And then I made two triangles separately, and then they get joined together along the yarn over lines here. So this pattern also requires spit splicing because of changing the colors and having those yarn overs at the outside edges. But I have been wearing this kind of nonstop since I got it back because it's incredibly cozy to be wrapped up in. And it inspired, I shared some pictures of it, and it inspired my friend Alicia, who's Edmondson Creations on YouTube, to want to run a Hap Gratitude knit along. So she is going to be running that. I'll be sort of co-hosting it with her a little bit, but she'll be mostly taking the reins on that. And I think the plan is to get started on that in early-ish November. I will share, it's telling me my screen time this week. I will share more information about that when I have it on, well, it'll be on social media, but feel free to message me if you want to hear, specifically about that. I'll probably, share it on IG when we have the exact details, but it will be to knit a hap along with us. I think it's going to be a longish knit along, so going from November until March next year. And you don't have to knit this hap, but I think we are requiring that you knit a hap design of mine. And the Woolly Thistle are going to, I think they're going to have kits of this hap. This one was made in the Jamieson and Smith jumper weight shades. And I think they're going to be putting kits together for that. So I will share more about that if you want to join us for a hap knit along. The knit along for the Ayre Hap hood just ended. That was really fun. And and for the Ayre Hap, we'll do the same and have a Ravelry group for the knit along, which Alicia, probably, and Maddie, I think, are going to be moderators for that group. I will definitely be joining in there too. But yeah, the Ayre Hap hood just finished, so some prizes are going out this week to the people who took part in that. Well, I was going to talk a little bit about Wool Week, and I forgot to bring this book through with me, so I'm just going to pause for 1 second so I can go grab it. Okay, so yes, I wanted to share this book that I picked up during Wool Week. This was just released. It's by Alison Rendell, who lives here on the west side of Shetland. She's the nurse at the GP surgery here, but she is also an incredible knitter, designer, and she was the Wool Week patron, I think 2 years ago. and she has written this great book, Feral Knitting Tradition, and I was able to pick up a copy from her. And actually, the inside cover, inside, what do they call those pages? In the inside, the end covers. This is basically our view. So it's looking across to the island of Vela, which sits that direction. So from that side of the house, when we step out, we are basically looking across at Vela. It's a privately owned island. It was recently sold a few years ago, so it's under new ownership. Anyway, she has some really great background on feral knitting and terms like Shetland terms that are used. And she talks a little bit about, choosing colors and approach to that. And then she has a sort of range of complexity of patterns. So she has ones that are nice intro patterns for feral. And yeah, it's just really nicely laid out, explaining how to read the charts and things like that. So if you can get your hands on a copy of this, I highly recommend it. And it was really lovely to sit and chat with her a bit. The Sandness Hall had an exhibition of knitwear again this year. I took part in that last year. This year I didn't have any of my knitwear to show really, but I did just go and hang out there. And honestly, that's one of the most enjoyable things for me, at least, I think, to do during Wool Week is to just be in spaces around other knitters and hanging out with local knitters, which is a big part of what those hall exhibitions really are. They can come and have soup and tea and cake, and see some really beautiful knitwear from different generations, and but then just sitting and chatting with local people and hearing about their life and seeing their different knitting styles is super fascinating. And one of the talks that I went to this year was kind of, I forget what it was called. It was hosted by Donna Smith, and it was the Shetland Ways or something like that. But it was basically a panel of different Shetland knitters, and they were each kind of asked, or they were asked a question and they each answered it. And it was really demonstrating that there are Shetland ways of doing things, but there's still a lot of variety within Shetland. And that's something that I talk about a fair amount when I'm teaching classes too. That there's different ways that people hold their yarn, there's different ways that people do steeks here. And it was just really interesting to hear them all talk and compare the different things that they do or how they learned knitting. So anyway, that was really fascinating to sit and be at that talk. And it kind of made me think that for my time here, because I want to have some Shetlanders be part of the podcast whilst I'm here. And so I'm thinking that instead of doing a sort of more super in-depth interview with people individually, just to make it a bit more of a snapshot of different Shetland knitters and designers describing the way that they do things, because I think it would be really interesting, to hear how does this person hold their yarn, how does this person pick colors, do they swatch, do they not? Just I think things that as knitters ourselves, the kind of thing that we want to hear, there's different ways of doing things because there is no exact one right way. So I am definitely hoping to have several folks appear on here. Ella Gordon, who is at Jamieson and Smith, she's already agreed. I've been in touch with her, so I'm hoping to do a little recording with her, actually in the shop at Jamieson and Smith, because it's a really beautiful store to be in. So she maybe the first one, I'm not sure, but I will definitely have a bunch of others on here too. And I think that I am going to pause or stop there. Don't want to make this too long. As I mentioned, the internet's not great here, so if I make this too long, it'll take forever and ever to upload and edit and all of that. So yeah, thanks for joining me here at Bousta Cottage, and I hope that you are all having a good fall or spring or whatever season it is for you, wherever you are. And I will be back soon with more updates from Shetland. And you can also let me know if there's anything specific that you would like me to show more of whilst I'm here, or if there is a particular person you want me to try and speak with. Some of you have already shared that. But yeah, thanks again for watching and for your support. Until next time.